Most hunting shows have lost touch with the average hunter. The hunts are taking place on expensive leases or outfitted hunts that average hunters can't afford. The hunters you see on this show represent the average guy. Hunts take place on public land, the family farm, or a place we knocked on the door and asked for permission. We will take you along for the scouting, planning, and then the hunt.
Hi, and welcome to Extreme Whitetail Tactics. The tactics we're going to discuss today involve cyber scouting of public land, hill country woods in Wisconsin from my home computer. I targeted this public property because of its location being far away from any major cities or major towns. When cyber scouting from home or using a topo map, you can eliminate a lot of the property in hill country by going straight to the elevation line on the topo map that is where those bucks want to bed during daylight and want to cruise during daylight and want to hang during daylight, and concentrate your scouting on those areas. This is the elevation that I would concentrate on. Buck and doe bedding and rut cruising should be on or about this elevation. When cruising for does, bucks prefer to cruise on the leeward side of the hill. The leeward side is the downwind side. Now if we go back to the map, we can eliminate a lot more of areas we don't have to look at by eliminating the lines that aren't on the leeward side of the ridge. In this case, we had a west wind. As the sun heats the valley floor, thermals are going to rise up the valley and go up the hillside, and wind is going to go over the top of the hill to the leeward side, and where the thermals and the wind meet, where they collide and swirl around, we call that the wind tunnel. Bucks are going to prefer to bed in that wind tunnel, and they're going to prefer to cruise in that wind tunnel. They like the wind tunnel because they can smell what's below them from the thermals, and they can smell what's above them from the wind. Being able to smell from below and from above is a great asset for a big buck. It's going to help him survive, it's going to keep him from getting killed, and he's going to be able to smell does from 2 different directions while he's traveling. In most cases, you're going to find more big buck sign down in the valleys and up on the tops. But don't let that fool you. Most of that buck sign is laid there at night. Most of the daytime movement is along those ridge sides, on the leeward side. Looking at this map on my computer, I immediately locked on to this funnel right here that connects these 2 big woodlots. With a common west wind, this spot should have heavy cruising, being the only leeward ridge connecting the areas. When the day finally came to hunt this area, it was a long drive, and I got there midday and headed straight for that funnel. I went straight up the valley, wind into my face from the east, straight to that ridge, and went up a little draw that would conceal my movements the most from these bucks that might be bedded up on the ridges or cruising on the ridges, and set up. And it didn't take long till we had action. I got a little advice for all the bucks out there. If you ever survive a shot from the big buck serial killer's bow, don't stop running. Well, we're about a mile back on some public land, and we're on a hillside. This is a draw or a cut, and this is the little funnel that they cross through. Normally they cross a little higher, but there's a tangle up there, forces them down here. But there's some crossing in here for about 50 yards. I picked this tree right here, figuring they'd probably come through right in front of me, but they could really come through anywhere. It's 5 sticks high up here. There's some rubs everywhere. I expect good travel. There's some doe bedding up here, doe bedding over there, and we had a little funnel effect. Yesterday evening I was sitting here, and about 4 o'clock or so, a buck came through, 2.5-year-old, and I had already decided I would take a good 2.5 on this public land because it's pretty pounded. So that's a trophy here. Unfortunately, he came through right up to me, and he stopped right behind this tree right here, and I was actually in that tree. And he got right here, He looked up and somehow he saw me. I don't know how. But I had no shot. He was front on at me. So he stared at me for a second, turned, and ran this way. Stopped when he got down by this stump, and then bolted again, and then hesitated for just a split second, and I had it right on his heart, and I let loose and squared this tree dead on. You can't get a better tree hit. Right here. Would have been perfect. But anywho, he was nice enough to give me a second chance. He ran over to about 30 yards or so and stopped, hesitated, marched around, and I bent over, got my arrow quiver up and got an arrow off, turned around, got the camera back on him, and shot him over there. It looked like heart lungs, but I think my arrow just started to drop. Maybe I underestimated the distance a little bit, and I hit him a little low. But he ran up the hillside through the trees. I could see him up there, and he started coughing and gagging. And I saw him bed, and I saw him get up a little bit and flop a little bit forward, and I think he's dead up there. I'm pretty sure of it. So let's go look at where we hit him and follow the blood trail up there and see what we got. Here's his track. There's his dew claws. Here's his pads. So if memory serves me correctly, I think he was standing behind this tree and I had to wait till he stepped to the side of it to shoot. So, yeah, here we go. This is where I shot him. You can see the hair blow out. Right here. It's like lower chest hair. The blood's starting to dry up, but it looks like it was bright red. I could see it from the tree yesterday, so it was pretty bright. There's my arrow. It's pretty good blood for right when you hit him. Looks like he kept the broadhead. I didn't get very good penetration, did I? About 10 inches. There's some foam on the arrow though. Wonder if Steve from Forge takes arrows back and replaces them. You think?
Maybe. Trade-in program?
Yeah, trading program. Slightly used. We got pretty good blood here. Got really covered and stuff. So, I mean, this is 10 feet from the head, so he's got to be bleeding pretty good. So here's where I saw him gagging up the blood in the stand, coughing and gagging. And he bedded right there. A little while later, he got up and flopped over there. As a matter of fact, when he did that, he scared another good buck away that was coming in from below. Hey, you can see the lung blood right there. There's a good amount of blood here. Look at this. Somewhere about in here, it sounded like he rolled down the hill. Yeah, there's blood going down the hill. I see antlers. Lower right here. See antlers sticking up right there. See them? The end of the log. like I actually hit him in front of the brisket. It's good and stiff already. Not quite as big as I thought. I thought his tines were a little longer. It's gonna be a long way out of here with this thing. Each hunt, successful or not successful, can teach you a great deal. I think it's important to analyze each hunt and look at the good and the bad and grow from the experience. I think you can learn a lot from each experience you have with whitetails if you pay close attention. If we look back at the hunt we were featuring in this show, my setup was on a little bit of a plateau. I took a draw up where it would hide me a little bit and confine the movements to a tight area. And I set up there. When I got up there, the trails were a little spread out. There's probably about a 30-yard or 40-yard area where different trails came through. I set up so I could cover everything. I was about where the wind tunnel is, but they could get by a little bit above me, a little bit below me, and it seemed because of the little flatness shelf that wind tunnel could shift around based on the volume of wind versus the volume of thermal air current. So I wasn't real confident on exactly where they'd come out, but I was expecting them to come out in front of me. If you watch that buck as he's coming in, he comes in straight underneath me, right down to one trail I didn't want him to come on. He comes right in line with me and right into the wind tunnel. And if you watch close, when he comes around that log, he lets out a little grunt, and then all of a sudden it's like he hits a brick wall. You see him just kind of stop and lock on me, or lock on the area, and you can tell he's smelling. Takes a couple steps forward, he's licking his nose, he's looking around for the danger. He's obviously got a nose full of me. There's an area right underneath your stand where you get a little bit of that wind tunnel effect. It's pulling your scent down there, and you also get some scent pooling if it's calm. Either way, that buck had me, and he stayed there and he worked it until he saw me in the tree. But regardless, even if I got in a breeze above the deer's or above the wind tunnel and my scent was blowing over, either way, when he got to the base of that tree, he was going to smell me. There's no way that deer was getting past me and giving me a quarter-inch-away shot without smelling me. So experience has taught me to just sit back and wait until that deer makes a mistake. I mean, you try that front-on shot, you try drawing your bow when he's looking around, and you're screwed. So I waited. Eventually, he made eye contact. He found me in the tree. It was a straight limbless tree, not a lot of cover. He caught me there, and he turned to go fast. I mean, this being heavily hunted public land, he's probably ran into a guy or two in the tree. So he turned to run, and I made my move when I had the opportunity. But I guess what I took out of this hunt mostly was that trying to keep that deer from coming straight in to the base of the tree, getting off to the side, getting that angled shot over And hopefully the viewers are going to take something from this good that they can help them with their hunts. When you watch TV shows and videos, you see a lot of guys stopping deer. They'll whistle at them, they'll grunt at them, they'll bleat at them, but they'll make some noise and get that deer to stop for the shot. And I see a lot of today's hunters, the young guys and even some of the veterans, stopping deer the same manner. And I think they think that's the thing to do from watching these shows, and maybe in some cases it is. But there's some drawbacks to stopping deer and some things you should know. You put those deer on high alert and they're likely to jump the string on you, especially if it's a longer shot. I would much rather have a deer stop naturally and just wait for that natural shot and take it. Catching them totally off guard is the best way. I've had deer run and sprint out of there when you stop them. I've had them ignore the stop. I've had them stop cold. I do stop deer, but only when I have to. I'll stop them when they're running. I'll stop them when they're going through thick cover and there's only small, short openings. But I've certainly had some negative consequences to stopping deer, and it's something that hunters should think about. I guess the learning portion of this video, what I got out of it was, you know, that wind effect, that scent pooling, that wind tunnel effect, just trying really hard to keep them bucks from getting straight down, coming in straight at you. And hope you enjoyed the hunt, and hope you enjoyed the show. I know I enjoyed it. It's not the biggest buck in the world, but I thought it was a fun hunt, and you'll learn a few lessons. Thank you, and hope you enjoyed it. You peed on me. You peed right on me.